let's go into your background in politics a little bit with Gary Johnson.
Yeah.
Are you still a libertarian, or what would you consider
I wouldn't
yourself?
call myself a libertarian, but I'm kind of like you. I'm more of a. I stopped aligning with any set party. I'm more of a issue by issue basis, and
Yeah.
just try to focus on myself and build my own. Always sharpening the tools of my own personal philosophy and how it works, right from wrong, blah blah blah, from the foundation up, and then to tackle each issue like that. But yeah, I did have a background in philosophy to start, and I was very into Ayn Rand. I was kind of an expert on Ayn Rand, on objectivism in that space. We're talking Atlas Shrugged, Fountainhead. Read all her stuff, and so by I was probably, I don't know, 14 when I was really diving into that, and I got really into it to the point where, just through happenstance, I started meeting some people in that space, and then they were kind of older people that it ended up being in a space with friends of hers, like colleagues of hers, partners of hers, lovers of hers. I started really finding myself in this inner circle, the Ayn Rand inner circle. And we're talking like Nathaniel Brandon, Barbara Brandon, John Hospers, who started the Libertarian Party. He was part of starting it, one of her students. Um, and they really liked me because I was such an expert on her in that space at the time. And um, I, I don't know, they enjoyed being around me. They're very old at the time, 80s, 90s. We're talking very old. I was teenager, probably. Um, and we got along really well, and I started wanting to do things with them. So that's what helped start like the charity when I was teaching kids about self-esteem, like just kind of more basic philosophy-based ways to help uh, kids at the time. It was, I guess I've been in that space helping kids for a while, and they helped me with that. And then John Hospers started libertarianism, and so we would have a lot of talks about that. And they're all deceased now. They all passed away, and I feel like in a way they passed the torch to me that I wanted to carry forward, and I have, and not necessarily. I don't wouldn't call myself an objectivist. Like
What is an
uh,
objectivist?
uh, it's Ayn Rand's philosophy based on objective reality. It's very A is A basis. It's very logic based philosophy, which I can't refute that. I am all for that. But that said, that some parts can become a little subjective, just in the differences. What is
There is gray.
yeah, where or what is gray, or maybe it's not gray. Maybe you think it's gray and it's black and white, but he thinks it's white and black. That's where we get into a deeper philosophical discussion of just what our core beliefs are and what we think. And there could be some differences in what she thought was right in objectivism. And I think, oh, maybe this, maybe this is A, and you think that's A. Anyway, very minute details. I'm not going to get into that, um, but it did form a lot of the foundation of me caring about philosophy, caring about, I would study religions and how humans work, and politics, very important, because the part of philosophy that is literally impacting us every day, whether you want to ignore it or not. Um, and I became obsessed with it. And it honestly helped my acting as well, just understanding people, diving into the psychology of people and for my characters and all that. And so it was a great tool. Um, but it did really get me into a lot of these doors and spaces, and that later turned into them asking me to do speech writing and speeches for the Libertarian Party for the uh, Gary Johnson 2016 presidential race. And so I was on the campaign trail there. I would do speeches and stuff, open up for him, introduce him to stage, and it was very fun. It was,
What was
I
that
was
like? I like Gary. I think, and you'll probably remember this better than my recollection as we're just talking. But I remember the point where I knew he lost it was an interview on TV
I know which
where he
one.
said something about bombing. He kind of like he went along with something that was a really bad idea, foreign policy, and that did not stick to the principles. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Were you talking about the Aleppo situation?
Tell me about that one.
Well, that was one where he just didn't know. He wasn't recollecting what Aleppo was, and it sounds like a minute thing. Most of us would have no idea, but it was an issue. It was a current event issue at the time, and it made him. They spun it to make him look really dumb, and it was a slip up on his part. It was, but to be fair, I mean, it's tough. Like you
I can
are
only imagine.
interviews all day, constantly fed all this information. You got to know this, got to know this, got to know this. While the person interviewing you, oh, they may be throwing softballs to who they like. It may be a very, pampered and put on
Right.
the mittens interview
Yeah.
with certain candidates,
But they're
whereas
gonna come
others
after
they're
him.
trying to make you look like an idiot.
Right.
And so in that sense, you're constantly being attacked, and
Yeah.
it's tough. And he did slip up. He genuinely slipped up. But man,
What happened with that? Like, was Aleppo? Does that
he just didn't know what it was. He didn't remember what was going on, and they caught him. And he kind of lied. Well, he didn't lie, but he just kind of pretended like he knew what was going on, and then clearly didn't.
I see.
And so it made him look dumb.